Hi everyone, Al the Psych here. Today I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about sports psychology. And I read a book called How Bad Do You Want It by Fitzgerald and published in 2015. So I thought I'd review that. I'm probably going to take a couple of segments to get through it, but it's kind of interesting. So, I've got my notes here. I'm going to read some of this word for word. So, according to the Psychobiological Model, and he's referencing Samuel Marcora, exhaustion occurs during real-world endurance competition, not when the body encounters a hard physical limit, such as total glycogen depletion, but rather when the athlete experiences the maximum level of perceived effort he or she is willing to or able to tolerate. So um, it's not so much that the body is actually experiences, but it's your perception of what you're going through that really kind of makes the difference. Now, the book is really talking about like endurance types of sports, okay, like long distance running or swimming, things like that, triathlete, Ironman. Um, but having said that, I can remember being in a gym and I'm thinking, I'm doing a bench press and I'm thinking, okay, I've maxed out, and then like an attractive woman walks by and suddenly I can crank out two more reps. Now, of course, no, weightlifting isn't and like a long distance sort of endurance event, but you can kind of see how your perception can change given the circumstances. Um, so, according to the book, hard physical limits do exist, but they're rarely reached. Now, athletes generally perform better, as according to uh, a study in the Journal of Sports Science. Um, Athletes generally perform better when given a qualitative goal as opposed to be told to do their best. Now, this is on average. It's not doesn't pertain to every single athlete. Okay. And I always thought, just try and do your best. Okay, well, apparently actually having a goal, like if you're going to, run the mile, your target might be, you know, 4 minutes and 15 seconds. That might work better for you as opposed to if you told yourself, okay, I'm just going to try and do my best. So sometimes actually having a qualitative goal might work better. Now we'll see later on when I get to different parts of this presentation that that's not always the case. Okay. Now, Cian Baylock, and if hopefully I'm saying his name right, his research has shown that impaired performance in high pressure athletic situations is associated with heightened uh, activity in parts of the brain that are linked to self-awareness. So kind of like self-consciousness. Okay. So self-consciousness, it reduces movement efficiency, like in running and swimming, other forward motion types of activities. Um, so you get that self-consciousness that impairs the fluidity of your movements. The self-consciousness kind of brings up anxiety and anxious thoughts. So my thought was, okay, does that mean then do you actually get an advantage when you have, say, home field? If you're running in a stadium at your that's your home stadium. Does that give you an advantage or does it give you a disadvantage? Do you get more anxious? Are you more uh, concerned about, how, how am I going to perform in front of people? I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there for you to think about. Because I was wondering if that would just make you a little bit more self-conscious. Do you get more self-conscious or does it help you focus? Um, Now, the more time people spend fantasizing about desired outcomes, the less effort you put into pursuing them, and the less likely you are to achieve them. I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, this is distinct from mental rehearsal. You know, mental rehearsal is something different. You're actually rehearsing how you're going to go through your routine. You know, your activity, your run, or your swim, or your biking, or whatever. A little bit different than just fantasizing about the outcome. Okay, two distinct differences there. Now, in 2014, Medicine and Science Journal in Sports and Exercise says subjects trained in positive self-talk improved their time on a pedal bike to exhaustion by 17%. So they reported significantly lower ratings of perceived effort. So the perceived effort was less when they had really worked on the positive self-talk. And no brain, non-brainer here, no brainer here. The goals are more achievable when the athlete has self-belief. I think it's kind of makes sense. Now, counterintuitively, caring a little less about the results of a race seems to, for most people, seems to produce better results. So the idea here is trying to race in the flow and race in the moment, as opposed to thinking about, you know, the finish line. All right. So for you athletes out there, at least your forward-moving athletes like runners and swimmers and bikers, you know, again, racing in the moment and being in the flow apparently is one of the more important things to try to nail down. And he gives a real interesting example of a woman named Natasha Badman, who was she was a lady who's now become I think it was she's become a great triathlete. I think she's retired now. But her thing was when she was younger, she was out of shape. Things were not going well in her life, and she was able to turn it around with the help of a coach. And her thing was she just experienced gratitude for the opportunity to be able to participate in these triathlon events. Her thing was all about gratitude. So gratitude is about letting go of desired outcomes and fully embracing the privilege and process of pursuing goals and dreams. And belief refers to the confidence that arises naturally through the process. So her story is pretty interesting if you want to look her up. It's Natasha Badman, and how he explains how she was able to run and participate in the triathlon events was pretty fascinating, I think, because she kind of just stayed in the flow, and as she did that, you know, her body just worked a little bit easier and more efficiently. Anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting for people who are interested in sports. That's just the first part. I'll go over some other information in another segment. At some point, I'll give a little bit of information that he talks about in his book that addresses Steve Prefontaine. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So that'll be the next segment. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.